Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome to another Friday Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, myself, James Moffat. Today we have our 147th guest, 𝗚𝗨𝗘𝗗𝗏. Hope I pronounced that right. So 𝗚𝗨𝗘𝗏, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Right. It's not actually Friday today, so typically we do it on Friday, but it's actually Monday today. So it's a Monday show. But don't tell anyone else because it's normally Fridays.
Yeah, we're a little ahead of ourselves this week.
We're actually behind because I still have a Friday guest this week. It's because we missed the Friday one. So anyway, welcome to the show. 147th guest. Numbers that mean anything to you? 147? 147?
147. Wow, that's an interesting question. The first thing I thought of was my mom because of the 7 and the 4, but not really.
Right.
She was born in July and born on the 24th of July. So
okay. Yeah. It means something to me, actually. When I was younger, just digressing a bit, I used to do some stock car racing, and my number was 147.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Stock car racing, really?
Well, I mean, it was not
that
like the stock cars you see, not like the stock cars you see in the US, but I mean, these were more what we called them were bangers. I mean,
bangers
old cars
in Switzerland.
No, I'm from the UK.
Oh, I didn't think Switzerland. Okay,
but
okay, cool.
I live in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay.
Gotcha.
But anyway, that's a story in a story, right? But anyway, let's get a move on and talk about the show. I know we've been rambling on prior to this, so let's share some of that because there's some great stuff that you've shared already with me. And for the audience, if they want to learn more about you, we'll provide the links afterwards in the show notes, all the links that people can connect with you and about what you do. And in particular, how to reach out to you as well. Typically on,
sure.
I know you've shared your LinkedIn, so I don't know what would be the best, but I mean, we can share all of those at the end.
Okay.
So we met actually just for the audience. I mean, we met because I'm taking some previous guests on a journey and we're doing a collective book of 11 previous guests and myself, right? And yeah, and I know that you are as well. I mean, you're writing a book.
I've finally started that process. Yes, so that's how I met Paul.
Right, Paul being the publisher. Right. So we will talk about that later, but let's take you on a journey down memory lane first.
Wow.
To learn a little bit more about you as a child and then kind of growing up to where you are now. So, but for the audience, they're probably curious on where you live now and where you're originally from.
Okay, well, right now I live in Hanover Parish, Jamaica, and I am originally from New York City, New York. Classic New York City girl.
Right. And any particular part of New York?
I was born in Harlem, and I spent a bit of time during elementary on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I've actually lived in every borough except Queens and except Queens. During my young adult life. However, Harlem was the center of my world for those first years, and shaped me in many ways growing up there with my mother.
Excellent. And we have something in common because my elder sister, went to live in New York. Well, actually in Brooklyn, so just across the river. But she spent a lot of time in Manhattan as well. And we've had previous guests from Manhattan. So, yeah. So, yeah, something in common there. And it's very interesting. I reached out to a Harlem Globetrotter, right?
Really?
Well, actually, he found me because I think I had a guest from New York at the time, and he saw that and he was interested in being a guest. Now, I need to follow up with him because he was very interested about it. So that would be a good one.
Yeah, that sounds like a great story.
Yeah. I mean, he's retired now, but I mean, he was
still
a Globetrotter.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Talking about that, were you into basketball?
No, despite the fact that I'm 6 feet 1 inch tall, I'm pretty tall. Basketball was never my thing. I actually, funny enough, my mother had me doing ballet in my younger years. And the only sport that I really took a liking to was running in my earlier days into adulthood. But basketball was not my thing.
Right. I won't tell him that. Right. What about baseball then? Because you have 2 teams there.
No. Well, in terms of like watching as a sport that I liked. Oh, well, yeah. I love the Yankees. I will always be a Knicks girl, despite the fact. And the New York Giants, I definitely followed football. I think more than basketball and baseball. I really still enjoy watching football games.
Yeah, I went to my sister lived near the Mets, so we went to see the Mets play.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
and it was the first time I'd been to a baseball game, and I mean it's a long game because you have that pause.
Yes,
actually, playing is fun, but I think watching can be a bit boring.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I recently just got to pass by Yankee Stadium a few times during my travels in the Bronx while I was in New York. And I've never been inside of Yankee Stadium. I realized I need to go to a Yankee game, like before it's all over. I need to have that experience, despite how long the games can be.
I just remember, that's when I was trying to speak some of my New York accent, you see. Not that I can, but there's a guy selling hot dogs, right? Now, he doesn't say hot dogs like I say. He was like, hot dogs.
Man.
It was fun. I mean, we had great fun. But anyway, enough of that. So, sports then. So, you were sporty. I mean, when you said running, I mean, is that short distance or long distance?
Short and long. I ended up getting into endurance sports in my adult years. But running has always been an outlet for me, something I've always connected to.
I think I noticed you said triathlon. Did you do triathlon?
Yeah. Yes. I am a triathlete official. I've done every distance except the Ironman. I've done a half Iron, but not yet a full. Working toward that. Hopefully one day soon, I will have that experience. I'm really looking forward to it, but it's a lot. It's a huge commitment. A lot goes into preparation and just, getting ready for the race and having your support team and so on and so forth, that I still want to do it.
So you're very sporty now then as well?
Yeah. I got my 4 miles in earlier this morning.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
On the beach?
No, up in these hills. It was not, I think, it's pretty hilly. where I live. So it was not an easy run, but it was a good run.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So with a triathlon, is it the same three disciplines, or could it be?
No,
different?
it is a swim, a bike, and then you finish off with a run. So those three
Okay.
disciplines.
Yeah. And how long is it? I mean, how long's the swim?
Well, for example, the half iron, the swim was 1.2 miles. The cycling part is 55 miles, and the run portion is 13.1 miles. So it's a 70.1, I think, distance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, which is your favorite? The running.
I actually like all of them. I enjoy this. I enjoy all of them. But I guess I run more than anything else. And it was what I was more accustomed to, the cycling and the swimming. I had to really adapt to those disciplines. But I gained a huge respect and actual love for cycling and swimming, although I have not done any road cycling while in Jamaica. I'm not that brave yet.
So where did you do it in New York then?
It was the Atlantic City. Well, the race was in Atlantic City, but we did. I'm being funny. We did road cycling all over the city, and
Yeah.
it's easier when you have a group to train with.
Dodging the taxis.
Pardon?
Dodging the yellow cabs.
Yeah, well, we try to stay away from the yellow taxis for sure, but parks and trails and different areas that
I guess you could go a few times around Central Park.
Yeah, that too, and that's not an easy route neither. Central Park is sneakily kind of hard.
Dodging the horses. Okay, so you have one coming up. Yeah, I mean, you said you're going to do an Ironman then.
Well, yes, that is my ultimate goal. I don't know if 2024 will be the year. I'm looking more at 2025 at this point because there's just so much aligning for 2024. I don't see how I would be able to weave that in, although I do plan to compete in a few running races along the way.
But these will be in
nothing
Jamaica.
major.
In Jamaica?
No, in the States. I travel to the States quite often for work. And I have family ties. I have an adult son that lives in the Bronx. So I'm back and forth, but this is really since COVID been my launching pad. Okay. You know how COVID changed everything for everyone. So,
exactly. We'll come on to that in a minute. So let's just go back again to childhood. So growing up, I mean, what was your education and family life like? You mentioned that you grew up with your mum. So you have siblings as well?
No, I grew up as an only child. It was just my mother and I, although I do have an older brother and two younger sisters from my father that I got to know later in life. But growing up, it was my mother and I, and she's not originally from New York either. She's from St. Louis.
Oh, very nice.
And Kansas City. She came to New York to go to the Fashion Institute of Technology. And her and my father. And so that's how I got born in New York. I had the privilege of gaining access to really wonderful educational experiences. Sorry about that.
There's no problem. I don't hear anything.
Okay, great. So I went to an amazing middle school called the Center School. Actually, the woman who started the school, Elaine Schwartz, she just passed away this year at 94, and she was still working.
Wow.
You know, at the center. So she's an amazing woman. And her story is absolutely phenomenal. But I was part of there was a 5th and 6th grade that started the school. And that experience really, really changed my life in a lot of different ways, in terms of being a girl from Harlem, learning to navigate different parts of New York City, Manhattan. At that time, we were located on 70th Street off of Broadway. And so coming from Harlem and, you know, going to the Upper West Side as a young kid was something. But I was surrounded by amazing educators that were really committed to providing excellent settings for kids to grow and learn, and learn to socialize and explore their creativity. So, you know, from there, I went to the High School of Art and Design, you know, as an illustration major. I don't know if I can still draw, but you know, that's what I was doing then, which again was another amazing educational experience for me, as a young Black girl from Harlem, you know, being in a position to access such great schools, which really wasn't the norm, particularly coming from a household like mine. So I got really lucky. My mother was very creative and made it happen for me. You know, from there I went to Bard College, upstate New York. And that was a whole nother ball game. So I feel like I was one of the lucky ones, you know,
Yes.
in terms of the education that I was able to access in New York City,
So
and the experiences.
you made your mum proud.
Pardon?
You made your mum proud.
Yes, I did. I'm pretty sure that I did. My mom passed away about 18 years now from breast cancer, but I'm pretty sure that I did. Yes.
Well, she can listen to the recording.
Yeah.
She's probably watching live anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
With a big grin on her face.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So, were you musical? Or are you musical?
You know, I thought I was, but I'm not. Well, I'll say this. I'm musical in the sense that I love to dance, and I've always loved to dance. And that was another shape-shifting journey for me in New York City, at a wonderful time. I totally, my other family is my house music family. You know, those of us that have been, kind of grew up, in this really unique party scene, where we were exposed to amazing music, played by amazing DJs, sang by amazing artists, and danced all night. That's what we did. So I'm musical in that way, but I can't sing. And I don't play any instruments.
But
I like to think that I can sing, but I can't sing.
I think we all think we can sing. I sing with the kids, and but when they sing the same song, it sounds beautiful. So it must be quite
They're
good
your
because
children.
they must have picked up the tune, so it can't be too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to sing a lot of Beatles songs because they're easy lyrics.
Although
there's also been some Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
So was Bob Marley an influence in your life as well?
Just by virtue of stories that my mom would tell me and my father would later, I guess, confirm, and also tell me about their experiences in Jamaica, and just having, by virtue of an odd meeting on the street, I guess, with Peter Tosh, opened up a whole world of experiences for them in Kingston in the mid to late 60s. And then I guess during my high school years, I remember listening to some of his songs, as part of the whole menu of music that I was listening to at the time.
Yeah. It just reminds me of a story, right? I was with my eldest son, who's 10, and I was singing all morning in the house 2 songs. I was singing Lenny Kravitz, I want to get away, I want to fly away. Right, I was singing that one, and then straight after that, I was singing "Don't Worry About a Thing, 'Cause every little thing's gonna be all right." Right, and I just back to back. It was both of these songs, and I didn't think anything of it until I got in the car with my son, and I never switched the radio on because it distracts me from driving. But I just felt that day impulsed to switch the radio on. So I switched the radio on and complete random channel, and it was playing. Yeah, I want to get it's playing. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing. And my son said, "Daddy, they're playing your song." I'm thinking, oh shit! So Bob Marley was on the way. But then we waited until that finished, and can you believe what song came next?
Stop it.
Lenny Kravitz, I Want to Get Away. And I mean, we both nearly fell off the chair, right? I mean, never ever listened to the radio, and then both the songs back to back came on. What's the chance of that? It's an impossible. Impossible.
Yes.
But I believe in, because we're going to touch on that shortly, and what you're doing. I believe in a lot of time we are sent messages through either dreams, through situations, through some means, and we don't always see them. And this was a message, and I know exactly what the message is, but I'll save that for another day. So back to you. So growing up at school, I mean, did you also spend a lot of time going to Jamaica, or is it more recently?
No, this has only been as an adult. I really didn't begin doing any traveling, international traveling, until I was an adult in my maybe in my late 20s, early 30s, because I have family in the Midwest and now Texas, kind of spread across. I would travel to see them But this Jamaica experience is really within the last 15, 20 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
With no family here.
You've got no family there?
No family here.
Oh, really?
Other than the family that I've made since I've been here. I got married. I've been married since I've been here. To a lovely man. Gosh, it'll be 6 years since we've been together, and celebrating our third wedding anniversary in 24 as well. So there's that, and my extended family and the family that I've made over the years traveling here.
And you have children?
And I have one adult son who lives in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And my mother passed away at 62, which I realize is extremely young.
Yes.
And that was 18 years ago. And my father is alive and kicking in East St. Louis.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you got siblings via your father.
Yeah. Yes, I have an older brother that lives in North Carolina, a younger sister that's in Seattle, Washington, and another sister that's in East St. Louis with my dad, her parents, my dad and her mom, and my niece and nephew.
You keep in touch with them?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have a good relationship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, when my mother passed away, I was like, man, I just have one parent left now who I don't really know. Let me deal with this and cultivate a relationship. I wanted to know who he was.
And it's okay? I mean, the relationship with your dad?
Yeah, it's authentic, full of love. I think I'm grateful that I know him, and I see so much of myself in him, which is really interesting. We look a lot alike. And I think more so for him, this has been a very cathartic experience getting to know me. And, forgiveness is really a powerful thing, especially when given to the right people. So it's strengthened our relationship, I think, over the years. Just I've learned so much about myself and my history through his storytelling. So that's been beautiful. There's just so much to learn, and realizing how little time there actually is. So I just want to maximize as much as I can with the people and things that matter to me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, time seems to fly by, and I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago that I remember being a kid. And
yeah.
And then when I think, particularly, I mean, the house that we live in now, because we're moving, and when I think, wow, we've been here 8.5 years already, and I think I can't believe that. I mean, it just seems like a couple of years. The time, people say when you get older, the time seems to go quicker. And yeah, it's quite ironic, because when you're younger, you want the time to speed up, so you became that teenager or that adolescent or old enough to do
I want to
things.
do my own thing. Yeah. And it's, hopefully as you get wiser, you develop a third sense, I think, with respect to time. And, I think as I've lived, and had more experiences, different kinds of experiences, people come and people go, death is also very reorienting, I think, in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I can definitely say I have a huge respect and consciousness about time that I didn't have even 15 years ago. These decades seem to fly by.
They do. It's scary. I mean, it's nice to see my kids growing, but yeah. But what you touched on earlier, you said about, your father shared stories with you, and I just think storytelling in general is the most magical thing you can do. Sharing stories, telling stories, listening to other people's stories. Hence the reason why I do this show. I just think that life is one big story within other stories, and I'm fascinated with people. I want to know, and it's quite ironic doing these shows. We are all the same. It doesn't matter what story you're sharing. At the end of the day, we're all the same type of people, and there's many different things that bring us together. It doesn't mean we like all the same things, but the underlying essence of who we are is the same. And the more you kind of reminisce into your background and your childhood, the closer we become, because as kids, this is what we thrive on and we desire. It's only gets confusing and disillusioned and when you get older. So trying to get that back. So anyway, let's talk school. So when you finished school and everything, what did you do?
So when I graduated from Bard College, my cousins who moved from St. Louis to Houston, Texas, they were like my big sisters. Our mothers were sisters. They sent me a one-way ticket to Houston because they were so intent on me not going back to New York.
So not on a rocket, though. I'm just thinking in my mind, Houston, we have a problem, right?
But Houston was absolutely amazing. I had such an amazing time. I was throwing parties and doing hair braiding and exploring my creativity. I had my first, I'd say, real job at Blockbuster Music, there. Houston was great. I still love Houston. I think it's a great city, still full of promise. But I met some incredible people and had some incredible experiences while there. It's really great memories.
So you were in the music industry?
Well, so I was a party promoter. So my, dance, being a part of the New York City club scene kind of led to my starting my own event in my loft in Brooklyn at the time. It was called a Bedford Hills Joint. And we had some of the most incredible events ever. There's still people around that would confirm this. We really, I think, it was just such a beautiful gathering of people, of really good food and that I made, and great DJs. So I kind of brought that energy that just this desire to bring people together has always been a part of me. I think that's a common thread throughout all of my stories. So I was doing that in Houston, as well. I'm doing that here in Jamaica, just, in a different way. So, I've always had this desire to bring people together and foster connection. And somehow early on, perhaps just through experience, I know the magic that just emerges from that gathering of people and vibrations, when the setting is right. All of the right ingredients are in place. People feel safe,
Exactly. No, I love that. I love people that bring others together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a selflessness, whatever you say. But anyway, so I want to touch on a few things, right? So the book, what you're writing about,
yes,
also what you're doing now for a business,
okay.
and
okay.
Why in particular. I mean, you mentioned that you've been in Jamaica quite a number of years now. 18 years, did you say?
Well, no, I've been traveling that long. I've been living here regularly since COVID, and regularly, can be defined in many ways because I'm in the States often. And I'll tell you more about that when we talk about my work.
Could you talk in a Jamaican accent?
No. No. I try, but I can't do it. Oh, it's so funny. Even, there are times even now where my husband is asking me, "What did you say?" And I'm asking him, "What did you say?" Just because we speak so differently is very funny.
So he is from Jamaica.
He's from Jamaica. He's a Jamaican farmer. He's a farmer.
Right, so he has a real strong Jamaican accent.
Yeah. And that's quite a lovely story. I think that could be a book too. But this book, it is something that's been bubbling around, I'd say, for the last 5 years. It's called Conversations with My Son. And it is a book that talks about the experience of being a parent of a young adult dealing with mental illness. And, on the journey toward mental health. It's talking about that, but around a series of love letters, I'll call them, between excerpts of conversations between my son and I as we've navigated this. Kind of emerged in his late teens, and without sharing too much, I think has been a stress response to some things that he's gone through in his journey. And so it is an excruciating truth that I know many other parents are navigating themselves. I've actually been a little bit more open about my experience recently and have connected with other parents that have shared, their stories with me. And, it's not a tell-all book, but really just a desire to speak on this truth from the perspective of a parent, and trying to figure out what to do, how to do, what not to do, navigating systems, yet being planted in this place of love and support and understanding, and really trying to protect that, cultivate that, because your father, as a mother, as a parent, watching, experiencing your child, regardless of how old they may be, going through such pain and confusion, it's heartbreaking and incredibly isolating, and at times feels shameful. It's becomes a source of anger and guilt. There's so many things that a parent, or if I to speak from the I, having gone through this and continuing to figure out how to navigate. I think it's a conversation that is not only with my son, but with other parents, and just more broadly speaking, with our culture and society, as we have, moved closer to this place where talking about mental health is a little bit less stigmatized, but it's hard to understand if you're not going through it. And so this book is about creating text to affirm my experience, the experience of other parents that have gone through this, and hopefully ignite some inspiration and hope that, there are ways to survive. It may feel like the end of the world sometimes, but these are survivable circumstances, and I want to speak on it. I think personally, it's a part of my healing journey. It's also an opportunity for my son and I to do something together. And it's a story I want to tell, and it's a story he's allowing me to share. Excellent. About us. Because it's just not about me, it's about us.
Thank you for exposing some vulnerability there, because it's not easy to actually say that you have a child that has any sort of mental problems, let alone talk about it. And I mean, for sure, there's not just a few, there must be thousands, if not millions of parents out there feeling the same. And it seems to be, particularly over the last few years, a bigger problem than ever realized before. And so how old is your son?
24.
All right. And he's happy to stay like in New York, or he's not prepared to leave yet, not quite ready. My son has many options, always has had. He had the I would say atypical childhood, in the sense that he was able to travel a lot with me, have seen a lot of places. He has family across the world.
He's had an incredible education. Things can happen to anybody at any time.
Yeah.
It really does not matter how one is prepared or not prepared.
Exactly.
But that's where he's at right now. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I don't have the temperament to live there
Yes.
every day anymore.
So this was something that's quite recent then, or something that has always been a problem?
No, well, I will say that it became apparent his last year of high school, like when he was 18.
All right. And was there something that kind of triggered that?
Yes, I will say that there were some experiences that occurred that I wasn't aware of at the time, but were I guess he felt that he was ready to start telling some of his story, and that just kind of opened up this rabbit hole we're now in.
Yeah. No, I won't pray on that anymore, because I mean, you can touch on some sensitive stuff that maybe it's not fair to share, particularly, it's a third party. It's not as if it's you sharing something, it's sharing on behalf of him. So have to respect that as well. So just moving on from there, I mean, maybe he could write his book as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's brilliant, my son, and he's an incredible writer. I'm sure that he could write many books about his stories and experiences. He actually offered to edit some stuff for me recently. Kind of funny that you mentioned that.
So where are you in the book at the moment? So because we've only recently met
and honestly, Paul reached out to me. It's really bizarre how it all happened, because I responded to a call for submissions regarding pieces about creating a better workplace. And I have an interest in that. And I wanted to talk about the prioritization of self-care and wellness in work environments. So I responded, and then there was, they wanted to bring me on in, but I had to pay this fee to be a part of the book, and that wasn't mentioned at the top, and it just felt really weird. I didn't like the approach. I thought they should have been transparent. But then Paul reached out to me that very same day, and at first I thought they were connected, but realized that he wasn't, and just kind of we had a talk, and he just pulled me in, and it's been such an incredible opportunity for me I am a non-published author. I'm at the very beginning stages of this book. I'm hoping to have a text copy ready midway through 24. I have no idea about publishing. I'm assuming Paul and perhaps you will assist with that. But this is, as I say, a story that has been percolating for a while, and one that I'm ready to tell it. So I have some homework to prepare for Paul. So we're at the very beginning of this, James. But one of my aims for 24 is to be a published author. with this, my first offering being conversations with my son. So I think this is a story too that meets this moment that we're in, and I'd like to leverage that as well. I don't want to wait any longer.
Well, no, I think so too. Once you start actually down this path, I mean, it's been painful for us because we're doing it with 11 previous guests, right? So some are super fast and some are extra slow. So it's quite a challenge to get everyone to move at the same kind of pace. But we're there. So, I mean, we spent a year and a half writing 6,000 words each, which isn't so much. But I mean, but when you think there's 11 of us, it'd be a reasonably sized book, but 11 completely different people, really quite diverse backgrounds and stories.
Fascinating.
And really quite magical, because once you venture down this path, as I said, you open up kind of a can of worms in your own emotions. And it's like a self-help group, because the kind of the byproducts from writing this is we knew nothing about being an author, nothing about story writing, right? Or not in an elegant way that you have to start, middle, and an end, and the desired outcome, and how you formulate things, how you even start. I mean, how do you start a story? And then how do you end the story? And how do you keep people engaged in the story? So there's a lot to learn, and the editing process is a nightmare, so be prepared for that. But it's worth it in the end, because you go through a massive roller coaster ride of emotions as well. But at the end of it, you should have some absolutely magical book.
Yes.
Once you've done it, you want to do the next one.
Yes.
And you think, why did I wait so long? So I have another one already in my mind, or I've started it, right?
Oh, that's cool.
I started it in parallel so I wouldn't forget to do it. So it's called The Universe Within Your Mind. And it's about going deep into your consciousness and the different layers, and very deep. But then, I have to park that for now because I'm too busy doing the other one. But I tell you, I do bedtime storytelling with the kids, and I did publish one storybook with my eldest son.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's very cool. How
I've got it here, actually. Just quickly show you. A bit plug for myself, right?
Yeah. Plug on.
So here it is. The Marvelous Adventures of Tom and Doodoo. It's his rabbit going to the moon. And then in here it's got kind of
I love it.
And
that's so great.
Lots of different things.
Can you buy that on Amazon?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I can put the link in there.
Yeah, put the link in there. It looks like a nice gift for one of my godkids.
I tell you another thing for any parents watching. I mean, a bedtime story for kids, it's the most, I keep saying magical, but it is magical. It's a wonderful experience, because you create an inseparable bond with your kids, and they'll always remember the stories. And if what we do, we audio record them.
Oh, wow.
So we've got stories of our kids, even now when they listen to them. I mean, we've got like 400 or so recordings, but when they listen back to them, they laugh so much when they hear themselves talking in the story. We call it interactive, because it's not me just telling the story. I get them, because you mentioned a lot about creativity and imagination. Once kids start using that, which everybody's born with, but as adults we've completely lost it, right? But kids have still got that. So harness it, get them to share, and their imagination and what they want in the stories is great. It's so good. But they become humorous, they become educational, and just so much fun. And they get tired and go to sleep. So, did you ever do bedtime storytelling?
We did some, but not a whole lot. I want to be honest. We did some bedtime story time, but it wasn't something we did every night, my son and I. Yeah.
You can address so many problems, right? Just digress quickly. My daughter, she's 7.
Mm-hmm.
She's a twin of my of her brother, right? So
wow.
Right. So, and when she was 5, right, she would not go out the house. She was scared to go out the house. She didn't have any friends. She cried over everything and was big pussy, basically. I mean, so we did a bedtime story, and I thought I'll try something out. So we regularly did the bedtime story. So there's lots of stories about her going to the farm to meet the animals, and then they used to name the animals. So they used to have Charlie was her donkey, right, and was her best friend. So Charlie was this ringleader, and Charlie did everything. And Charlie was like facilitated like egg and spoon races and adventure things at the farm. And when the golden chicken was there, then Charlie would make sure that you had to go through him to see the golden chicken if you wanted a golden egg, and all sorts of stuff, magical stuff. Right? Anyway, so I said to her, like, we're going to go on a roller coaster ride in the next story. You can take a friend with you. So I said, Charlie. And Sam, her twin, was sitting at the back, because I did it together with him, with his friend Gorilla, right? And Abby, my daughter, was sitting in the front seat on the roller coaster with Charlie. And this is when I started the magic. I tried something out. I said to her, Charlie's scared, isn't he? She said, yes, Daddy, he's scared. I said, tell Charlie that everything's going to be okay. So she said, Charlie, everything's going to be okay. And I said, tell him it's going to be a short ride. Charlie, it's going to be a short ride. Tell him you're going to hold his hand, and it's going to be a magical experience. He'll love it. So she held his hand and everything. I took her on the journey, on the roller coaster ride, and looped the loops and everything. When they finished, I said, it was great, wasn't it? And Charlie had fun. And she said, yes, and all this. Anyway, at the end of that, no fear whatsoever. Fear completely went from her. She passed on that fear, and she reassured Charlie of the fear being a third party. And it just went overnight. She never had any more fear. She does rock climbing. She does horse riding. She swims. She's got more friends than you know what to do with. She's an extrovert. Completely changed her life from one story.
That's amazing.
So
that's a beautiful story.
Stories are magical, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, your son, I'm sure there's something there that can completely change the whole thing around through storytelling. And I think it's overlooked in the value. I mean, people now talk about this kind of buzzword, storytelling for business, but did they really know the essence of storytelling, or they just think that's a buzzword, we better start doing it? Once you've experienced it and seen the results with kids and stuff, the kids taught me how to do it with clients, with businesses, because kids ask questions. Typically, clients don't ask questions. They sit there and shut up and look at their watch and wait for the time to go. But the kids taught me how to make it interactive, and then making sure that they participate. And when they do, they enjoy it.
That's a great reflection.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not about me and not about my kids and stories. It's about you. So you think it'll be ready mid-24?
I think, well, I hope the writing portion, I'd have a draft ready by mid-year next year, 2024.
And how many words have you written so far? Or how much of the book?
Well, an introduction. And that was by the coaching of your colleague. Yeah, I started it.
Well, that's a good thing anyway. Starting. Do you know how long it took me to start? 5 months. Right. I never wrote a single word. I knew what I was going to write. I had it in my head, but I didn't know how to start. I was thinking, what are the first words I'm going to use? And I thought it's critical that the first sentence hooks someone that they want to read more. And I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know what I was going to say.
It was Paul's urging to just keep it simple and clear. Don't overthink it. Just write it down.
Yeah. Do you know what he said to me? Right. Because I started, particularly when it comes to the editing part, you start using some fancy words and it's like you swallowed a dictionary and you think, well, that's not James talking. He said, I read it and he said, you've put me off. Stop all of the kind of the fancy bullshit. And I said, I thought, well, aren't you supposed to add all that and make it sound like intelligent and sophisticated? And he said, no. He said, imagine you're at a dinner party or down the pub with your friends and you're telling them a story. Would you use those words? And I thought, no. And he said, well, don't stop using those words.
Right.
Say it authentically how you would say it if you were talking to friends. So I had to go back and I mean, I've done 14 different versions of editing.
Wow.
Right. That's not a lot compared to some of them. We've got one of the authors that's done more than, I don't know, 20 plus.
Wow.
Right? But yeah, that's you'll find, right, when you come to editing, you'll start changing the story and then come back to where it was at the beginning because that was the most authentic. But you'll go through this journey of like trying to make it all fancy and then you'll find out, well, I'm just adding too much bullshit to it now. I need to go back to being
like, wait a minute, did I just make a full circle?
You do. Yeah. I ended up doing that and end up back where you started. But it's a learning curve because you learn so much from doing it. You'll have fun. It'll be frustrating and times you want to give up, but then keep going.
And also contingent on, how well my son and I are communicating at the moment. One thing I also have to remember is, knowing when to lean in and lean out, lean back. You know what I'm saying? Because, I remember 24 on my own in Houston. I can't even, I don't even recall how often or not I called my mother. So, I don't want to, gotta give people space to breathe and be in whatever lives they're living. So I'm trying.
I mean, we talk about kind of byproducts for things. I mean, I do kind of this show, and then the byproduct was the book. Now, the byproduct of the book could be something of a community that you're building as well. I mean, we've been on a journey with 11 people, but it's not just 11 in ours. I mean, I've got to know you and many other authors who have also been on the show. So then you're building that community. And how could we help one another outside of just the books, right? Because they're some beautiful, like-minded people. And once you start showing that, also that vulnerability, the authenticity of the person comes through. And we feel that we're so alike and so connected in many ways that you don't want to lose that now. You want to nurture it and carry it on. And I think just for anyone listening, writing and sharing your stories and creating a book out of it, I keep saying to my mum to do it because she's got so many stories that I don't know. And then I want my kids to know. And if she doesn't write them down, they'll be lost. And I just think it's such a pity. Everybody should be writing stories. It's not too difficult.
Or recording them.
Yeah.
You know, whatever is
actually
most comfortable.
One of the co-authors, he said, do that. He said, just record, go for a walk and record your story. And then you can get these voice to text translators that put it to text. There's many ways that people can do it. But anyway, let's move on to what are you doing for business? Because you talk about well-being, you talk about your sports and spirituality and other things, but we haven't touched on any of that yet. So tell us what you're doing now.
Well, what I'm doing now is building a small business that I formally created in November of 2021 on one of my trips. And it's called 𝗙𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗 Incorporated. And our focus is developing content that advances health and wellness, creating opportunities to foster human connection, and opportunities for self-discovery. So we're doing this in a number of ways. First is built on my 20 plus years of being a public health and behavioral health professional. I have my space has primarily always been substance use disorders and mental health, kind of pushed, initially driven by working on HIV/AIDS prevention in New York City. And so I've worked with a variety of nonprofit organizations. I used to be the executive director of a syringe exchange program in Midtown New York. I've done street outreach. I've been, was at Rikers Island educating folks that were about to be let out about overdose prevention and how to use naloxone. I've worked with city departments of health. I was at the New York City Department of Health for a while as their harm reduction coordinator. So I was overseeing the operations of service provision, TA, fund distribution of funds to the syringe exchange programs operating in New York City. I've worked out of the mayor's office, working on a pretty innovative at the time mental health program that was centered on building up the basic mental health skills of service providers that were working with the population as part of their provision of other services, healthcare services, but really didn't have that basic foundation of knowledge. So what I'm doing now is working with similar type settings, but as an independent professional. So I've started a small but really exciting research project with Yeshiva University out of New York City with their Wurzweiler School of Social Work Care Cafe program. So basically what we're doing is exploring self-care and wellness with women who have military service experience. We hear so much about the data related to their health and wellness outcomes, which just continue to get worse. And we are looking at this issue through the lens of self-care and wellness as an approach to first engage this community around these issues and basically really gain a better understanding of what their needs are, interests, desire, because what we also know is that women veterans in the United States often feel counted out, like they don't matter. They really aren't accessing services from the VA, or when they do, they don't stay in care. There really is no real demand for services, healthcare, and mental health services from the institutions that are set up presently to serve them. They're really not customized to the specific needs of women. So they don't feel safe and aren't getting the kinds of supports that they need. So with Yeshiva now, we'll be exploring a lot of these issues with women themselves. We had our first session back in November, and I've now gained the interest of the City University of New York, their Office of Veteran Affairs. As it turns out, one of the women that were in the session I led in November was really transformed by the questions we were asking, the space that we held, which allowed for a lot of interactive storytelling. It's really about setting the space to engage trust and, creating an environment where people feel agency to tell and share their stories. And there's a lot, as you already mentioned, a lot of healing that can come from that. But we're also tying this to providing exposure to alternative ways of advancing self-care and just some basic knowledge about managing chronic stress and other things that we do have control or the capacity to manage when we have the right information. Self-care, wellness, we know, generally speaking, that it can have a huge impact on improving health, physical health, and mental health outcomes, but it's not always easy to understand what that means or even accessible. So part of that work is really making it relevant and accessible for that particular community. So that's part of what I'm doing. I've also do a lot of work around, particularly in Black and other communities of color in the States, around substance use and mental health. These are issues that are so difficult to cultivate empathy and understanding about people who are living those experiences. And they often have huge impacts, not only on a person's ability to thrive in life, but just being able to participate fully in life with respect to, having a livelihood, criminal justice involvement. There are all these different layers that really kind of shape the experience of people that are misusing, I'll use that word, substances and harming themselves. As a result, families are destroyed, communities become destroyed, and we are navigating systems in this area that are really, they're old and they're broken, and we need new approaches to really figure out how to more effectively fill the gaps, because everyone deserves a second chance. We all deserve an opportunity to engage fully in our lives and in the lives of others. And we do have the resources to do it, but it's the stupid policies that are in place that prevent us from doing so, like homelessness. That is a policy issue. It does not need to occur, but it's a policy issue. It was breaking my heart walking around New York City, just seeing so many homeless people. It's like, it is such a privilege and blessing to have someplace safe to live. It's just now in 2023 that the United States government is acknowledging for the first time that housing is one of the primary social determinants of health. If you don't have a place to live, how can you experience healthiness? So I kind of work with county government, city government, and nonprofit organizations providing public health strategy and content development around some of these issues to help them engage communities, create spaces for interactive storytelling, because people are the experts of their own lives and experiences. And there's so much that can be gained and learned from those experiences that can have real impact on how business is done, how programs are created. That is one of the things that I do. In addition to, I'll name her Best Life Retreat. That's what kind of brought me to Yeshiva University. Is hosting retreats. I've been hosting retreats in Jamaica since 2018. Not under the umbrella of TA Industries, that's only become new, but, making pivots along the way. It is not an easy task, building an international wellness program, because there's so many different things to take into consideration. But we've had some successful retreats since then, and I'm also beginning to explore how to build community in a virtual setting. So we have begun to offer some virtual, I won't call them retreats, but virtual sessions for people to enjoy along the way. As they, become curious about what self-care means to them, means for them, or want to try, for example, what is a sound bath? What does that mean? What's that all about? So, we offer different sessions like sound baths, seated yoga, learning self massage techniques, really, again, seeking to make self-care more relevant and accessible to everyday people, to kind of unpack what that means and provide opportunities to actually experience how to learn a few things that you can continue to do on your own, and just be part of a community that collectively explores and discusses what these issues mean for them.
Wonderful. Hats off to you. I mean, I give you great respect for what you're doing, because there is a massive, massive need for that. And I mean, I know you can,
even as workers, you know,
exactly. Even the people that you don't think have a problem because they've got a 9-to-5 job and they're doing okay. sometimes they're suffering big time and just
Oh
keep
yeah.
going. So
Yeah. We
it's
need to
not
learn how to we need to learn how
exactly.
to take better care of ourselves.
Yeah, so it's not just looking at kind of the homeless person or people on the street or
Mm-mm.
whatever. I mean, for sure that's the obvious ones, but I mean the less obvious,
Mm-hmm.
the everyday person that goes to work or maybe wishes
Mm-hmm.
to go to work and they
And
can't.
that's right. And that's something that I intend to do more work on in the coming year is helping organizations create spaces that prioritize self-care and wellness for their teams. Because if you have people that are miserable at work, you're not really setting them up to thrive and to do their best work. There is a way that we can create environments that are customized for the culture of the organization, but yet creating a different or shifting the value system around what self-care and wellness means, for company A. This is what it looks like or needs to look like, or this is how we ought to rethink A, B, or C. But it is so critical for all of us, in all walks of life, to have an opportunity to thrive, whatever that might look, because it looks different for everyone.
That is very true.
But we all deserve that. And unfortunately, there's so much misinformation. And it's not like the things that we talk about are ancient secrets. I don't know. I'm not sure what shifted. But oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I
I don't
lost
know
you for
what
a minute.
happened. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. I mean, you had your camera the other way, so I don't know if you want to put it back. I can edit this bit out, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
you've
like
gone,
this?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
just to
I'll go
keep
back
it.
to this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Um, yeah.
So, no, I mean, for what you've shared, I mean, it's a global problem. I mean, particularly over the
Yeah.
last three years, I mean,
Yeah.
it's affected everybody on the planet. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we are all having mental health problems. Some are minor that you don't even notice, and some are major that it's so obvious it's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everybody needs some guidance and some help. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I live in Switzerland, and it's ranked one of the third highest countries in the world for suicide.
Wow.
And
I did not know that.
no, you'd never think that. You'd think, how can this like kind of rich
Wow.
country and like easygoing kind
Wow.
of place have so many problems? But they do, and it's kind of kept quiet. Right. So there are people, I ask my friends, neighbors, and others what they do for a living, their job, and do they like it? No, no, I hate it, hate the job. Or not all of them, but I mean, a lot of them. I said, why did you do it? And they said, because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
So just going back to kind of what you said before, I mean, once people start sharing stories and making it interactive, you then start to discover, well, I mean, besides all the negativity coming out and everything, you want to focus on the positive and you want to find out, well, what do they like? What excites them? I mean, what do they love? What they're good at? And why aren't you doing something aligned with what's you? And most people don't know who they are. This is the biggest problem.
Yes.
Actually, 99% of the population have no idea who they are. And you might think, well, what rubbish is James talking? I mean, of course people do. They don't. I mean, I didn't know. I write this in my book. Right? This is part of my story. In 2016, I never knew who I was. I had no idea. I'd lived my whole life not knowing who I was. And not knowing that I didn't know was even worse, right? Until I was asked one question. Who are you? And I could not answer the question. I said everything. I said, I'm James, of course, and I didn't ask what your name was. Father of 3 kids. And I didn't ask you the personal situation. I asked, who are you? Who are you? And I couldn't answer the question. And it was that was a wake-up call of that desire and that longing to know who I was. And the coach said, the only person that's going to find that out is you. I don't know who you are. I can't tell you who you are, but I can ask you the right questions. And just in kind of the work that you do, you mentioned earlier about asking questions. It's about asking the right questions because they have the answer. They just don't know they have the answer. But once you start unlocking those doors and brushing away the cobwebs, you will discover, or they will discover themselves. Like you mentioned self-discovery. It's kind of a rediscovery because they already know. They've just forgotten. Go back to your childhood and you'll remember everything. But we've lost it through one thing or another, through school, through work, through life. We've forgotten who we are. And this is kind of a step back into who we are and rediscovering what it is that excites us, what we love, what we're good at, what we can harness, what are our gifts. Because everybody, doesn't matter who they are, everybody has gifts. They just don't believe that. So it's about believing in yourself.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Then once you do that and you find other people that are on that journey,
right,
then you help one another. And exactly what you said, it's helping communities, helping people in the workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, because otherwise they're at home or they're feeling sorry for themselves and thinking they're the odd one out. They're the weird one. They're the one that doesn't fit in. They're the one that's got these problems. And they're too shy to come forward and say, yeah, I can't do it.
Or too afraid.
Yeah, but most people are like that. Actually, if you got 2 people, they'll probably embrace each other, think, oh shit, I'm like that as well. Then the 3rd one will come along and say, yeah, me too. And then the 4th, and before you know it, more people are feeling the same way. They just never came out and said. So I completely admire what you do. I think it's wonderful and very, very much needed. And everybody on the planet needs it. Everybody. And those that say they don't need it don't know that they need it, but they really do. It's like in business. I mean, I had a mentor, right, on my journey. But then the mentee can become the mentor, right? So then I become a mentor for others and they become my mentees. And then they get to a level, they teach me something. So a mentee can become the mentor to the mentor, right? And it's like this. There's a saying that people said that, are you a follower or a leader? And I said both. Because there's some people that lead the way and I follow them, but there's other things that I do that I'm the leader and they follow me. And I'm not saying that I want followers or whatever.
No, I get it. I would say the same thing.
It's about learning. I mean, I teach them something that they don't know, but then equally they could teach me something I don't know. So we're both followers and leaders, right? And everybody has got gifts. And that's the thing. Once you help people realize that, then you change their mind. And it's all about their mindset. If you wake up with a positive outlook, the universe will answer and give you what you're looking for. If you wake up all doom and gloom and watch the TV too much and all the bad news, then you dwell in that negative, dark space. And then the universe will think, well, that's what you want. Well, I'll give you more of it. And then you're digging a hole for yourself. But if you think, like, park that shit, get rid of that. I know it's happening, but I'm rising above it, changing my frequency. And then you look at things in a positive way. Like when you're courteous to someone in the street or open the door for someone or whatever you do, you feel better about it. They feel good about it. And they know that you feel good and you feel good and they feel good. And before you know it, you have a smile on your face. And then something positive will happen to you because the universe is giving you what you're doing. And people say, I know it's not going to happen for me. Try it. Try one day. Just forget the bloody negative crap. Right? Brush it aside. Right? Do the cookie jar thing. Right? Every time you do say something negative, right? You've got to take a cookie out of the jar. Right? And every time there's something positive, put a cookie in the jar. And then at the end of the day, is the jar full or empty? Right? You could do all sorts of things. And I do the cookie thing with the kids.
Yes.
Right? And they want a full jar of cookies. Right?
Yes.
So to get a full jar of cookies, you've got to like change the way that you think. Right? So anyway, I know we're kind of rambling on now. And so we're just going to wrap this up. So,
okay. So
how do you do your work? Is it remote? Is it on site? Is it face to face? Is it certain? You mentioned
all three. So primarily, it's remote, but I also do on site, in person sessions with clients. For example, I'll be spending some time in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, for the next 4 months to run a series of women's empowerment sessions. So that will be on site. So I'm a woman of many hats and talents, but in person and remote. But being able to work in this way is such an incredible blessing and privilege. I'm so grateful. I can look out the window here and see the Caribbean Sea, in my very humble house on a whole bunch of land with a whole bunch of fruit trees and all sorts of wonderful things growing bountifully with the support of an incredible partner. So I'm living my dream, and I have the incredible blessing to continue to do work that I love and has great meaning for me. So I can't, I can complain and get corrupt, of course, but there's so much to be grateful for, and I'm really, really grateful to be able to add what I can toward fulfilling this mission of bringing people together and creating spaces for interactive storytelling, to build on, and having a positive impact through walking the walk as I talk the talk. You know what I'm saying? Being authentic, I think, is really, really important. It almost gets me filled to the top because I just have such gratitude for manifesting this life that I talked about many, many years ago. I realized. So, it mindset,
No, it absolutely is. And I mean, thank you for sharing part of your story, because
yes,
we all have many, many stories to share.
Yes,
but also
it's been such a pleasure.
yeah, the wonderful things that you do. I mean, it's a focus on humanity and helping people thrive and truly believe in themselves. Because if you don't believe in your own self, and that, like as you said, the self-care and everything, then you're on a path to nowhere, where you want to put them on the right path and help them. But I mean, you're doing it in a community way that others can see they're not alone. Nobody's
right.
You don't have to be alone in the way that you feel, because many people feel the same. They just maybe don't show it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, you hear of remarkable stories that you think, yeah, I never saw it in that person. I really never saw.
And had no idea.
Because they've hidden it well. And sometimes it's better to show the vulnerability, because at the end of the day, that's what people want, their help. They just don't know how to ask for it. So anyway, we'll share the links so people can.
I will.
So yeah, connect with you, reach out to you. And I think I also showing this video to some of the people that you work with will also help inspire, because yeah, what you've said and sharing your story has been really magical. And we could talk for hours, but we need to kind of close this off now.
Yeah. Yes, but thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. I really, really appreciate having this platform to share a little bit about me and my stories.
Yeah. No, I didn't know you before. I mean, we connected in the book club.
Yes, in our book club.
I know Paul said that you'd be a great guest, and he was absolutely right. You're a fantastic guest. And yeah, I'm glad I know a bit more about you.
Yes.
And
yes.
I mean, I love the work you do, and maybe if there's anything that I could do to help there, then be more than happy to explore opportunities and things.
That sounds amazing.
Definitely fancy a trip to Jamaica.
Yeah. You should definitely put that in your plans for some time in the future. I think your entire family would love the experience.
Also, if you come across any guests that you think would have a great story to share, I mean, any of your people that you work with, then I'm more than happy to host them, because I love good stories.
Yes. I'd have to think which one. But I will certainly share some leads with you for people or a person that I think would be a great guest.
Okay, excellent.
Yes.
All right. So on that note, I know you've been, our 147th guest, right? You've been absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
This recording, once I've edited it, I'll post it on YouTube and the audio on Spotify.
Okay. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share our story together.
Thank you.
And get people more involved in listening to your other stories as well. So
I also connected to some people. I think there's another thing we didn't touch on. You mentioned about that. I looked at the website. You had epilepsy.
Yes, I do. I was diagnosed with epilepsy at the beginning of the COVID epidemic. Crazy. I learned that after a year of suffering with seizures that only happened in my sleep, my now husband and I, and this was 6 months into dating this man, and he decided that, I don't care what's going on. I'm gonna stick around, and it's been a crazy, life-changing experience. I have it under control pretty much with my medication, but it's really changed my life in so many ways.
Right.
The life of my husband, who is also my caregiver, hosting a retreat for women with epilepsy and their caregivers here in Jamaica in March 2024. I'll add a link about that as well. We want to bring 12 families down free of charge. Working on crowdfunding for that. But it also has deepened my motivation and desire to do what I do. Having come close to not making it a few times.
Yes.
And having someone there for me. So we can talk about that. That's another book, James.
Yes.
But
yeah, we're just going to wrap this up. But just one last note on that. I had a guest from the US, and she suffered with seizures when she was a kid, and she was taken to the doctor with by her parents, and they thought it was epilepsy, and they said no, it's not. It's just seizures. She didn't know why she got them, and she grew up with that. And then, a person introduced her to microdosing, and she said no, she doesn't do any of that because she's a church-going Christian girl and all of this, and she doesn't do drugs and alcohol and whatever. And said no, it's not any of that. Like, come and so reluctantly she tried it, completely changed her life. She didn't, it completely cured her, right? And now she does a whole program on it. She's cured others that have seizures or epilepsy, and all the natural ingredients. So I'm going to introduce you to her.
I would love that. Because this just kind of appeared in my mid-40s out of the...
So she... definitely worth speaking to her. So I'll connect you to her. Her name's Casey. So,
okay.
If I forget, remind me. Right?
I will.
Right. Anyway, on that note, stay blessed. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful week, and bless your children and your wife, your family.
Likewise. And
I'll see you on the next book club.
Regards to your son, because I think what he's doing with you in the book is magical. And if he wants to talk, then maybe he wants to be a guest at some time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, just be interested to hear different people's perspective on life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. Definitely.
Right,
okay. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Wow, that was another Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Mofat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.